happened 2020 is when I just blew up
Okay.
because nobody wanted to do hair, and my mom was telling me, "Why are you doing hair right now? Like you're not supposed
You're
to be
gonna die.
you're not
Hair.
supposed to see anybody." And I'm like, "Mom, I don't have papers. I can't like get a
Okay.
check. I can't. You know how people are
Sure,
getting
sure.
checks and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I couldn't get none of that. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to continue to do this, and that's when my clients, man, it just blew up.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode. Today we have a pretty cool treat for you guys. Today we have Nestor Rivera, aka he's also known here in Chicago and throughout other places as the BrowBro. Nestor, welcome to the show, my bro.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, real quick, man, the BrowBro, how did that came up?
The BrowBro. Well, basically, it was like I had always thought about this. I basically learned how to braid and do eyebrows when I was like 13, 14 years old.
Hence, because sorry to interrupt you, but
Uh-huh.
hence is because eyebrows, right? So
Yeah,
you do eyebrows
yeah.
for.
So I do eyebrows, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I wanted to cater to, in the beginning, cater to like the more of the man demographic,
Yeah.
like just the men. Like a lot of times, like I feel like a lot of people don't like to take care of themselves for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think most men they don't take care of the
Yeah.
creams, the face, and all.
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, so sometimes people demonize that and make it seem like it's something bad, but that's basically how I started, and then that's how the barber came to be.
Okay, and I know that we were chatting earlier, and you do a lot of celebrities. They fly in, and even in the Chicago metropolitan area, well-known people. You do hair and eyebrows for them too, as well, right?
Yeah, I mean I do well-known people.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have to drop names. I get that. So tell me, Nestor. I know it's a pretty cool shop you have here. You have a cool setup here, and you're in the very trendy area, right, of Chicago, a
Yes.
Chicago neighborhood, and which is
Pilsen.
Pilsen.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I just did a few weeks ago. I just did another gentleman. He's a woodworker out of here. He reclaims wood from the regular neighborhood. The trees that are cut from the neighborhood are here, and he just reclaims it and makes art out of it.
Oh, wow,
and it's
that's
pretty cool. And so, what got you here, man? I know that you found, and one of the things I tell entrepreneurs and people, like you want to make money in life, solve a problem. And you saw the problem that men weren't taking care of their face or maybe their eyebrows, their hair, and they might think, that's just too feminine or that's not very manly to do or whatever, right? But you found that niche, you saw a problem and you resolve it. And you're super successful at what you do, and you're known. It's like the Brow Bro.
Yeah.
I like the name too.
Yeah.
It's pretty catchy, man.
It's catchy,
So
right?
yeah, dude. So tell me a little bit about yourself, man, and how did you start, and how did you grow up, real quick, and just kind of some history before the success, right? Everyone has some history before and the struggles before they reach success. So.
Yeah. I mean, a little bit about myself. I come from an undocumented family. We immigrate, or I can say that.
So you're a dreamer, right?
I'm a dreamer. We immigrated to the United States when I was a year old.
Okay.
And I'm one of five. We came here in the 90s, and so we've been here since then. Yep.
Okay. So you grew up with a very immigrant family in an immigrant neighborhood, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And how was that growing up, and how growing up as an immigrant? Because you're what, Mexican?
Yeah, I'm Mexican.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Spanish is your first language.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually didn't know I was I wasn't born here.
Okay.
I didn't know I was an immigrant. I know I came.
Wow, there's not worse than not knowing you're an immigrant.
Yeah, I didn't know I was I mean, I knew I came from an immigrant family, but I didn't know that I myself didn't have papers until high school came to be, and then people. Actually, I had seen my brothers couldn't take some scholarships. And I'm like, why can't you take those scholarships? And they're like, oh, it's because they want us to have a social. And I'm like, what the heck? So then I knew that they didn't.
At what age did you discover you were?
I think I was like 15, around like freshman year. And then I started messing up a lot, partying, doing all
Sure.
that.
Yeah. So at 15 years old, you found out you're not a legal resident in the United States, undocumented, I should say. And so, how did that feel?
I mean,
Because you probably felt that you're a
yeah,
fully American.
yeah,
You know, you were raised here.
I feel like, what's the point? You know, like, what's the point of doing anything? And so that led me to partying a lot, drinking a lot. You know, just not
So,
doing
because
anything.
it didn't, you felt like
What's the point
there's
of
no point
yeah,
of doing something because you're undocumented and there's no opportunities for you,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
And so now you know that that's a bunch of bull crap because opportunities for everyone, you know.
Yes, yes.
And I was just in at another podcast and I was sharing this that it's all about, well, you know, making a decision, you know, because there's an opportunity for everyone. It's just you just got to go for it, you know, and make a choice, and you went for it. I gotta say, Nestor, man, I'm pretty impressed, dude. Like I look at your shop and. You know, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
what you got going on here, and your clientele too.
Yeah.
I haven't met any of them, but from what I hear, you're a big shot when it comes to the brows, man.
I'm
So-
okay, man. I'm okay.
I know, you're humble, dude. I get it, dude.
Yeah.
I don't like to brag about myself either, but it's a lot easier to brag about someone else, right?
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of bat for you to kind of like break through
Yeah.
and see the best out of your situation, you know.
That's cool. Yeah, dude. So tell me, so you were 15, you started partying, and then you went through that phase, right? Like uncertainty, you know,
Yeah.
like why even try, right? What the hell? And then what changed in your life?
So for me, what changed is I went through a really bad place before I got to where I'm at now.
Right, like we all have, yeah.
Yeah, I was, you know, I went through a lot of mental breakdowns, a lot of anxiety, a lot of that.
You battle like depression and stuff like that, or
I think I battled depression, anxiety, uncertainty. I think for
Yeah.
the sake of like not being able to have papers, or also not being like a lot of stuff that happened to me growing up, I think it really gave me like that uncertainty about myself. Like I had no control over things,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so then that led me to actually God. It led me to God,
Yeah.
and I ended up you know, God ended up coming into my life, and it changed my life completely.
Sure. You
I
found like peace.
Yeah, I
and
found
going
peace.
to church.
I found peace.
Going to church. Yeah, it's interesting because I know I've read, you know, and I know this, that, you know, what the main ingredient for anxiety is worrying about the future, you know, like uncertainty, right?
Yeah.
And depression is like dealing with past issues, right? And so, and you got to live in the now moment. You know, that's how you resolve it. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, you found it through peace and God, and it kind of brings some clarity in your life. So just go back to that. You know, you started attending a church, and you started like being active in your church.
Yeah, so I think what happened with me is that as soon as I went to church, like maybe I think I was like 17. I was
Okay.
17 when I went to church, and I remember the church that I was part of. They were so excited with seeing my change coming from like one end to coming in one way, and then just that whole change in me, that my pastor at the time, he like wanted to make me like a youth leader right away within a couple months.
You
And
saw the light.
yeah, I think he's seen.
It's cool because I know that I've also witnessed people like that too, you know, and even in my life too,
Yeah.
you know, like I wasn't the man I am today, you know, but and I accredit that to my faith in God as well.
Yeah.
You know, but so you became a youth leader after that.
Yeah, I became a youth leader, and so then I started finding purpose and helping others. Like you were saying earlier, it was like the way I got over like my anxiety is by taking the focus off of me and putting it on somebody else, you know. And so I did that for like about 10 years.
So you were what, like a youth leader,
A youth
pastor?
leader, mentor, like
Yeah,
that.
10 years.
Yeah,
Huh?
with inner city kids. So that's what I did for 10 years.
Wow. And let's stop there for a moment. And what kind of stuff will you do, like with the inner city kids?
With the inner city kids, I feel like we would deal with a lot of the church that I was specifically with at the moment. They had like recovery homes, and so basically we would we would work with a lot of the kids of the families of the parents that were going into the recovery homes.
Oh, okay.
So the parents would go into the recovery homes, and we would basically kind of mentor the kids coming in. So we would, I don't know.
Some
we
of
would,
the kids were in foster homes while their parents are in
um,
recovery, or
well, the ones that I specifically dealt with or helped weren't in foster homes. They were just, the parents weren't around at all. So the parents were, the kids were either with like, their aunt, their grandma, or whatever, and
and I know that's not easy because I know several people that are involved with like the inner city with grown men and women that are like addicted to drugs and go through recovery programs and dealing with the kids, and so I know that that's not easy. I'm sure you had your shares of struggles because that's one of like the most ungrateful things, right? Like they don't appreciate the time you put in. At least a lot of the times you're out there grinding and trying to help the youth, or their parents have some nasty addictions.
You know what? For me, I never thought about it like that. I actually, for me specifically, I would get more like a unappreciative like way from like people in ministry rather than people that we were helping. Because every time I would help somebody, like I wouldn't do it with the expectation of getting something from them, because they don't have anything, like,
Sure.
and like every time I would help somebody, I would always remember like when I came into like knowing God,
Where you were at.
where I was at, like where I was at, where I was so like desperate, like, and even like not just the kids, there was times where like I would meet people like prostitutes, and to me, I would have just like such a deep connection with them because there was parts in my life where like someone took advantage of me. And so like those moments were like God moments, like those moments where like you knew like you were in the exact place where you were supposed to be at. You know what I'm saying? And so I wouldn't trade those moments for anything, because those are the moments that keep you grounded. You know what I mean? Especially in a time like this, like today, all people think about is themselves. All they think about is like, what can I get from this? What can I get from them? And so in moments like where I would have moments where like I would talk to like these people, I would feel so at peace within myself.
It's amazing how God works, and that the struggles that we've gone through and the very situations or similar situations, when you get your life kind of in order a little bit or lined up with God's plan, it's like you're out there helping someone else that was in a similar situation, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so because you understand what it is to be abused or to be let down or or to be hurt, and there you are years later, you're saving someone else or stretching your hand out. Dude, that's gold, man. That's precious.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that,
Yeah,
man.
of course.
That's pretty cool, man. And then so you were doing that outreaches and helping the community in the urban areas of Chicago.
Yeah.
And then take me after that. What was like your
You know what? I went from like I encountered God at 17.
Explain that to me, dude.
Okay.
Because like and I'm a faith-based guy, not religious at all, but I'm a strong believer in God, and only because of my experience.
Yeah.
Right. In the beginning, it was because something I was told, and then you read. But once you experience something, it like trumps everything, right?
Yeah.
Like you have an experience, and so it's kind of like, and to me is like kind of like we met, right? And after I leave here today, and someone asks you about Rick, right? Or somebody asked me about you, I had an experience with you, right? And so, and it's kind of like that. Now I know you, I know the guy, I know what he looks like. And believing in God is it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah. It's just having an experience. So when you said an encounter, share with that. What is that? What did that mean? What was that encounter? What was that?
So basically, I was a really wild kid. Like, I wasn't a bad kid, like, as far as, like, out there gangbanging and doing all that. And a lot of my friends were out there doing that. We grew up around that. But thankfully, we had parents, both of our parents in our life. My parents have been married for, like, 36, 37 years. And so I had such good parents. And so because of that, I didn't ever have to go to like the gang banging scene. Like I had that type of dad that would go and he would check gang members. Like if he was trying to, because he had 4 boys and a girl. So he would check the gang members to make sure they weren't.
None of his kids were.
Yeah, not
involved.
with his kids. And so my thing was like I was partying, I was drinking, I was doing so much. And then I was, like we said earlier, I was a little bit depressed. I had a lot of anxiety because of the experiences that I've had in life. And so I was just in such a disillusioned like mindset that I'm like, you know, look at all the stuff that's happened to me. Look at how people have hurt me. Look at how the situation I'm in where like I can't move forward even if I wanted to, like, or that's how it felt, you know? And so when I was 17, there was this kid. I was so disillusioned, and honestly, I was.
You were hopeless.
Yeah, I was
much.
hopeless, contemplating like so many crazy things. And
I'm better off dead, or I shouldn't even be here, and all those things. Yeah, and
then,
all those things are common, dude.
Yeah,
from someone
they're
who's
common.
depressed
There's
and hopeless,
nothing new
man.
under the sun.
Yeah,
you know, that's something that I've learned.
Yeah.
And so there was this kid, and he grew up in church. So this kid was always in our, like, I came from a big school.
Yeah.
Like, my school was huge.
What high school was
Curie.
it?
Curie was a big school.
I know Curie.
It's a big school.
Yeah.
And I remember this kid, he would always tell people about God, and I'm like, damn, that kid is so weird. Like, whenever I would see him throughout, like school, he would always be preaching to somebody, telling somebody about God.
Really? In high school, huh?
And I thought he was just so weird. But then and that was freshman year. So junior year, when that happened, I remember being so hopeless and I felt so, man, I was just so bad and in such a bad mindset.
Yeah.
And I remember telling that kid, like, I'm like, hey, is that guy you're talking about, like, what is this that you're talking about, you know? And I was just like, you know, the alcohol, that sleeping around, the doing this, experiencing new things, like none of that like could quench that or stop my thoughts, because it was like more like, man, my thoughts were just running. And so I remember one day when I was in a lunchroom and I had gone up to him.
It's like almost like being starving and you eat, but never get full.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
And so I went up to him and I asked him, like, what is this God that you're talking about? And we grew up knowing of God.
Sure.
But this kid prayed for me one day, and
in school,
and I experienced like a peace. I hadn't yet like experienced God myself, but I had experienced a peace. Like I felt like his faith was covering me in a sense. And so then,
was it a lengthy prayer or what?
It was.
Is this in a hallway, or let's go in the bathroom? Let me pray for you.
No, it was in the lunchroom. I remember it was in the lunchroom.
Really?
I think they had. I didn't even know our school had a gospel choir. Or gospel club or whatever.
Okay. Sure.
But they had just ended that, and so then he prayed for me, and I felt like that, and then he invited me to his church, and there was like a play or a drama going on, like, and so I went. And I remember experiencing God there, you know.
And tell me, what was that experience like?
You know, it's one of those experiences that, like, it isn't audible and it isn't, like, anybody talking to you. It's just something that you feel like it's real. Like you felt like a covering, you know what I'm saying? Like God telling you, like, you're my son, you know. I created you, you know. You're my creation, you know. And that's why from that moment, I've had so many people tell me so many things about God, about what they believe. And I'm like, look, at living my life the way I'm living it. And whether it's pastors telling me I'm doing something wrong, or whether it's my mom telling me I'm doing something wrong, whether it's people outside of the church telling me, like, you don't have to believe in God, like, you could just do this.
Yeah.
Whoever is telling me all these things, I know that moment I experienced God myself. And no matter what, God is something that I always think about.
Yeah.
And I know he's always thinking of me, you know. So.
Wow, that's powerful. Dude, I see what you were saying there. I felt your energy, dude. I felt it, man.
Yeah.
And that's so legit because And I always tell people now, I know we're going to dive into your business and everything, but I think this aspect, of your life is so crucial because it's like it kind of directs you and it cemented who you are today.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and it's interesting because I ask people when they say, "Oh, I had an encounter with God," or what does that mean, right? Just go to church or everything, but it just kind of like stamped you,
Yeah.
cemented you. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what people say or or just people's opinion or this is bad and you should do this, but you already met God.
Yeah.
It's really a meeting,
Yeah.
right? That you met him and now
Yeah.
you know him,
Yeah.
and so and you can never unmeet him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean by
Even if
that?
you wanted to.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
It's impossible. And so, you started attending church, and you had that beautiful experience, and then what's next? You did ministry or outreaches in your community and all that for 10 years, and then
What
what
changed?
after that? What happened? What changed?
So I think for me, what changed was that it's like you were saying earlier. I don't know if you were saying it off
No,
the
it's okay.
record
Yeah.
or
It-
while we were recording, but you said something about knowing that you have a purpose. For me, like I know that I have a purpose, and I know that God created me, and He creates things with purpose. He just doesn't create things just because. He everything has a purpose, and He created me with a purpose. And so while I was doing ministry, I felt somewhere along the road I wasn't what I was doing wasn't matching up with what I felt inside was my purpose. You feel it.
Mhm.
You can feel when you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And the right thing isn't always the right thing according to the Bible or
Well,
according to
I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say according to the Bible, right? Because only you know what you're supposed
Yeah,
to be doing in
exactly.
life,
That's what I
right?
meant.
And so I think what you meant is other people's interpretation.
Yeah, other people's interpretation.
Yeah, not the
Yeah.
Bible, because
So yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, so I felt like that. I felt like I was in a place where I was doing I was part of ministry for a while, and I just I felt stuck. I felt stuck, and I felt like I was living for God. Well, I thought I was living for God, but I was living for the people in ministry, and I was living for my mom. I was living for my mom,
yeah,
and I believe that the same way that I felt like when I was young, I got taken advantage of, right?
sure.
And I can compare that to me pleasing other people, like me pleasing the people in ministry.
You were sexually abused.
Yeah, I
Okay,
was.
okay.
So to me, it felt just the same way that it felt like I wasn't in control in a sense.
Sure.
Is the same way that I felt like I wasn't in control in doing ministry and like living for my mom. Like I just felt like this is another thing that now I'm not doing for God, and I'm not doing because of what I was created to do, but now I'm doing it again for other people. And at the end of the day, and I told my mom, there's gonna be a lot of things. I know they say there's a big saying that says that, I think it's in the Bible too, like a wise person learns from other people's mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe that, but also I feel like God allows you and He gives you grace to making your own mistakes, and I wasn't given that. I felt like, or I just felt like there's people that constantly have tried to stop me from making mistakes, or like I really don't learn things on my own.
So a lot of people, I was sharing with our producer here earlier, a lot of people, you got to understand the season you're in, right? Like not, some people find something and you know what, this is my calling and this is my path in life. I'm going to go for it and do it until the day I die. And some people do it like yourself, even myself. I've done several things, right? That we find, but when the time's up.
Yeah.
And what you got caught in is, you did it because they told you it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But it wasn't out of your heart. So you're not really pleasing God, or you're not really pleasing with yourself, because when people find their passion in life, or they find the thing they're born to do, it it's difficult sometimes, or the road there is difficult, and there's some tough days, but you love it. It's a difference, you know.
Yeah.
You just know you wake up in the morning and you know you're like doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Because then all your greatness comes out.
Yeah.
You know, all your gifts and everything. And I'll give you an example of my life is I used to travel a lot, and I'm you know, before COVID that kind of stopped, but I used to travel. I've been to like a bunch of countries, and I used to build orphanages. I fed hundreds of kids and all that. But I did it because I loved it, you know. And I brought people with me and all that, but the main reason I did it is because, number one, I was good at it. I would fly into a country and just figure things out, Google people, who's there. I used to visit them and start working with them. And that's what I'm good at. And I loved it, and I was very good. And I have a heart, I still do, and for kids, you know. So that's how you know. And I think that you're just the epitome of that. Like, and you found that. I found that when I was a lot older than you, but thank God that you figured that out at a younger age.
Yeah.
Because you have the rest of your life, and once you know that, you tweak your life, you know, from doing your outreaches to the next phase that we're going to be talking about, that you're able to tweak it at a younger age, so you have a longer impact to make.
Yeah.
You know. And so you stop doing that. That's interesting because you say that because a lot of people get stuck, you know, and they get stuck for years. You know, and I was sharing with our producer earlier today that I met a gentleman who's in his 50s already, and he's been stuck, but that guy's been stuck for like 30 years.
Wow.
Right, and he's reached out to me to just kind of guide him a little bit, and him just sharing my experience and how to get out of that. Because again, you have to decide, right, what you want in life, and once you decide, you just go for it.
Yeah.
And you gotta kind of like drown out the noise, like la 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 la
Yeah.
la, and
Yeah.
forget it. I'm just focusing and doing what I'm doing,
Yeah.
right? And it's unfortunately some of the people that'll be against you will be the closest to you, right? And then like we read the story of Jesus. You know, the people that really were against him or betrayed him was the ones that was closest to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just life. But he knew his path,
Yeah.
right? And like, you know your path. And so that's cool, man. And so what happened after that? Like, you quit the outreach thing, and then what happened next? What led you here? Like, what was the next step? You started working at a restaurant, you mentioned?
Yeah, so I was working at a restaurant. I was doing all these jobs that were so underpaid.
Yeah.
Because those are the jobs that like people in my that are in my position kind of work, you know, because
And what do you mean by that in your position?
Undocumented.
Well, yeah, I would say, you know, in your mind frame.
Yeah,
your
and where I
position.
was at in life too,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And so I didn't really I had people pushing me, but not really guiding me.
Right.
You know, like I did have mentors, and I think I'm so grateful for them because I did learn a lot from that, you know. Like my youth pastor that I had at the time, like he's such a good person.
He impacted your life.
Yeah,
a lot.
him and his wife, I literally seen God in them, you know, like I seen God in them. I seen the way they love people out of a pure heart.
That is key because they lead with love.
Yeah, out of
they
a
don't
pure
lead
heart.
With judgment.
Yeah, there was many times that, you know, they put a roof over my head.
Yeah.
Not under my head, over my head. So, yeah, I'm grateful for those seasons.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I was doing that. And then I got myself, I think the last job that I had while I was doing ministry was this lady had hired me to being a manager at her company. And she did tailored linens for like big weddings, like celebrity stuff. And so I'm like, man, that's cool. Like, I want to be a manager somewhere. Like, I want to leave the restaurant job and going from getting paid, and I'll disclose this.
Sure. So you started working there?
Yeah, going from $140 a week.
Wow.
To like, and this is not that long ago. It was maybe like 8-9 years ago.
Wow.
to then start making like a little bit more money at this other company. But then she brought me into doing a job, and she put me to do the laundry. So like all the linens that were coming back from parties, I had to wash them.
Okay, so you were washing linens, and then what?
So then I was like, dang, I'm back at school. I'm back
to being an immigrant
yeah,
again.
I'm back. And I felt like it was partly me and partly other people capping me, always capping me. Like whether it was at doing ministry, whether it was at the restaurant, whether it was working for somebody else, there was people always capping me. And I felt, not that I feel like better than anyone, like having nothing, coming from like a super humble family.
Yeah.
By humble, I don't mean like I'm humble. I mean like we had a lot, like we really didn't have anything. We didn't have like our first Christmas growing up to like, I think I was like 10 or 11.
So you didn't grow up with a silver spoon, is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
at all. Yeah. We didn't grow up with anything, and so I felt like, man, again, like not again, you know.
Sure.
And so then I remember at that time, my little brother actually, was in a place now where he had a store. He had a resale shop, and you know, if you know anything about resale shops, it's super big in this generation.
Yeah. Thrifting, right? Like
no, at that moment he was doing the reselling of shoes. So reselling shoes, like gym shoes.
Okay. Sneakers.
High-end streetwear.
Sure.
And then at the same time, he had just opened up a barber shop. And that was all recent. It wasn't like he had he was always like at that place.
Right.
But he was just doing that, you know. And in that...
And you were working at the linen place.
I was working at the linen place.
Okay.
And I remember one time I had a conversation with him, and then he just looked at me and he's like, bro, he's all like, why are you not doing hair? Like, you're so good at it. Like, and I was just so, coming from like growing up a certain way and coming from the church, I still had like, oh, I have to be this perfect guy or this perfect perspective of what a guy should be.
It just didn't line up to their principles, not your principles, but to whatever they thought, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of battle that.
Yeah.
And that's normal, dude.
That's normal.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. And I've gone through that too myself. So.
Yeah, when he said that, I'm like, man, I should do it, right? And I was all like...
So let me ask you this. Now, your brother mentioned that you knew how to cut hair, but how did you learn that? How did you learn that?
I learned... So at that moment, I was just a braider and I was an eyebrow threader. And
wait. I mean, I don't even know about braiding or eyeball. What? What did
braiding and eyebrow threading.
Oh, eyebrow threading.
Yeah, not eyeball threading.
Oh, okay. So let me ask you, how did you learn that skill?
Yeah, so when I was...
like just brief, you know, just touch it.
Really quick. I was 8th grade, and one of my friends' sister was braiding her up, and then I had asked her I told her to hurry up because we were going to go get pizza, and her sister was all like, dude, it's not as easy as it looks. So then she's all like, you try it. So then I tried it, and I got the hang of it right away, like stitch braiding, yeah.
So you're just 3 strands, right? You just...
Yeah, so basically it's like the weaving of the braid, you know.
Okay.
So it's different than just braiding it out.
Yeah.
You're braiding it to the scalp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I seen that. Like boxers, like women MMA people have that, right?
Uh-huh.
It's like kind of looks like dreadlocks, but it's not dreadlocks. Yeah. I got it. I know that what you're talking about. And then you became good at it. And then how did you get good at it? Like you knew you were good at that.
So
right?
Yeah, so I eighth grade. So within the next couple of years, my mom would ask me to braid my sister's hair. I had only one sister, and I would braid her up, and that's how I learned how to braid.
Just on your sister.
On my sister.
And then what? Okay, so tell me, so now you knew you had a gift. You knew how to braid hair, right? It's pretty interesting, right? And so you're out of high school. You 10 years in church. While you were in church, you were still braiding hair on the side?
No,
like
I never
nothing,
braided.
just your sister.
I never braided, yeah.
Okay, so take me, your brother had a barber shop. Take me there.
So when he told me that, I believed him, and I'm like, man, I should do this. And I quit my job the next day without even thinking about it.
And then you went to work.
And I went to work. And I didn't have clients for like maybe a month or 2 months before I started getting clients. This was 2019, and from within 2 months, like 2 months, I didn't have clients, and then from that, I just started picking up on clients.
Okay, let's go back. Those 60 days you didn't have any clients. What did you do to bring clients?
Honestly,
Social media or what?
I was on social media, but I think I used my people skills to just like.
Just network?
I was just like doing free clients in the beginning, like.
Okay.
I'll braid you for free. I'll do your eyebrows for free, and so on.
Okay. Yeah. How did you learn the eyebrow thing?
The year right after I learned how to braid, so freshman year. Threading was really big at that. It was beginning to be big in Chicago.
Sure.
So then I'm like, man, let me try this. I remember I cut my brother the first time. I tried it on his eyebrows and I cut him. Because you could cut somebody with a string.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you use your little brother and you started practicing on him. Okay, and then what happened?
And so I stopped and I didn't do that till fast forward 2019 when I quit my job from doing laundry.
Okay.
And when I talked to my brother, that happened in 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then you open your brother's shop and then you started doing eyebrows for people there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the way you got clients were like you went out there, hit the pavement, network, and
yeah.
offer
So it
your
was
service.
basically there was already barbers in the shop, and basically I would just kind of like any client that would come in, I'm like,
you would offer your service.
Yeah, let me do your eyebrows.
It's interesting, and I often tell people like you have to be in close proximity of what you want to do, right? And that's why I asked you, how well 60 days, right? 2 months, no clients. That means you're not making any money, but you were in close proximity. You were surrounded in the beauty industry or in the barber shop, and you surrounded yourself with people that might want their eyebrows, whether it's men or women, right? And that's key. So that's one of the one of the principles like success. I tell people, if you want to be a trucker, well, then hang out with truckers. If you hang out with potheads and alcoholics, well, guess what? You're going to be a pothead and an alcoholic, right? So you always want to be in close proximity, and I think it's awesome because success is not when finding success, right, or whatever you're meaning for success, or what is it you want to do in life, it's not rocket science. It's all the same. It's relative, right? You said something earlier. You quoted a scripture from Solomon, right? Or in the book of Genesis, it says there's nothing new under the sun, and there really isn't. Everything that which was is everything that what it was, it's what's gonna be, right? It's just full circle, right? So. Exactly. You found something, a niche, you solved a problem, and you got in close proximity and you learn. And it took practice, I'm sure, a lot of practice to thread, right?
Yeah.
And so tell me, okay, so you started doing that and you reached success right away, or what it was?
No, in the beginning, I literally, because I had to give up my place. I had my own apartment at that time, and I had to give up my place, move back back to my parents. Then, actually, I was sleeping at our barber shop for the first 6 months.
Dude, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. Yeah, because you were out there getting it.
Yeah,
dude.
Like,
that's good. Many people won't do that. They will quit. They'll quit in the first 30 days.
Yeah,
and you stuck with it.
I was getting depressed though again.
Yeah, it's not easy. No, of course. It's not easy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right, but like you talk about some of the greats out there. They've had Elon Musk. He even said he was like a day short of closing Tesla for being bankrupt. And then boom, an investor came in and funded him so he could pay his employees. He would sleep on the couch at the Tesla factory. Wow. So what you did, it's not like unique. All successful people, they get sad. They go through that period of doubting themselves, right? And so it's usually your backstory, that starts creeping in again, like your past, your past mistakes or the story we tell ourselves from the past. Yeah. And so you have to like drown that with hope and remind yourself, what God put you here on earth for. you know. And so eventually one thought has to overwhelm the other. It's what thought are you going to feed the most?
Yeah.
Really what it comes out to,
Yeah.
man. So you're sleeping on a couch 7 months, and then what?
Within the third month, I started picking up on clients. And yeah, I started picking up clients, and it wasn't as consistent as when it really had to turn around was around COVID. So 2018, 2019, all the way to like all that year, I was like kind of like building consistency with clients. I was getting that return, trying to get my return. What's it called? My return.
On your investment?
No. My like when people are coming back. What's that called?
Return clientele.
Yeah. So I was trying to get that consistency within my clients, where they're not just coming in as one-time clients, but they were coming in over and over again.
Sure.
And that's how you
recurring clients.
Recurring clients. There you
Sure.
go. I spaced out right now.
No, it's okay. So you got that 2020 pass. Okay, COVID hit, and then that's when you started like really scaling your business.
No, 2019 that happened. 2020 is when I just blew up.
Okay.
Because nobody wanted to do hair, and my mom was telling me, "Why are you doing hair right now? Like you're not supposed to be
gonna die.
You're not supposed to see anybody." And I'm like, "Mom, I don't have papers. I can't like, get a check. I can't, how people are getting checks and stuff like that. I couldn't get none of that. So I'm like, I have to continue to do this. And that's when my clients, man, it just blew up.
Okay. So tell me, so 2020, 2021, and how did you get involved with celebrities and the people you do? You don't have to drop any names or anything.
So basically, I think for me, from the beginning, I realized that I didn't want to do just
walk-ins.
I don't do walk-ins at all.
Yeah.
And
I know you mentioned that you're appointment only.
Yeah, I'm appointment only, and I think a lot of people are becoming appointment based only, but also from the beginning, I understood that I didn't want to be a barbershop. Like that's not what the service that I offer. What I offer is almost like if I was somebody's personal groomer,
Right.
And that and that comes with a lot of other things, like a lot of people that I do are business owners, are people that are,
just higher end people that are busy and
upcoming celebrities or upcoming influencers or.
Let me ask you this. But how did you obtain those clients? Well, how did they reach out to you?
I think this is something that I told my brother because now I'm part of a collective here. So this is a collective,
right?
Or a co-op, however you want to say it. But this is something that I told my brother. The way you do one thing is the way you're gonna do anything. And I learned a principle from my mom growing up. She would always tell us, "You guys might have not had a lot, but every single time that." You guys were always clean. And to me, the way I filtered it through me is like, it doesn't matter what you have, it's how you present it,
Right. You're neat in order. Yeah.
And so, and then I started adapting that other principle where how you do one thing is how you do anything. And so anything that I would do, I always treated it like this was going to be my last client, So anytime my client comes in, I always tell all my other clients that are on my schedule, I tell them the most important client is the person that's on my chair. And I'm not going to be rushed by anybody. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how long I've been doing you. The person on my chair, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to give it my best. And when you see my work, you look at that. You look at my heart. You look at my struggle. You look at everything that I've gone to get to where I'm at. You see it in my work. And so to me, it's my baby, and the way you would take care of a baby is, you tend to it the way you give it your everything, and so I feel like clients that are very picky or high-end clientele, they take a look at that, they not only take
the details.
They take a look at the details.
There's an old saying, the devil's in the details,
Yes, and not only do they take a look at the details, but I tell everybody, I tell everyone this. I'm not the biggest I'm not the best braider. I'm not the best barber. I'm not the best eyebrow threader. But what it is that I feel like I believe in myself.
Sure.
And that's something that I didn't have before. And I feel like when you believe in your work, there's people that start believing in that. And I think these are people that, I speak it into existence, you
Sure.
know. There's a lot of power in the tongue.
Sure.
And so I always speak it into existence. Like I know that the type of clientele that I'm going to get. And I feel like everything that I've gone through was so important so that I could stay grounded when I've hit this success, you know.
Right.
And
That's
I start
awesome.
hitting success.
Awesome. So I know you're. I know this is not the end for you here. So what's next after this?
I think for me, what I want to do, I don't want to jinx it, but
Nah, man.
I want to start a nonprofit. I want to write. I'm in the middle of going to school so that I can be an instructor in my field. So
Teach other people how to
so I could
braid
teach other
and
people, but not just other people, because, you know, even the school that I went to go look at to get this instructor's license, the guys are like, but he's like, I'll waive that fee for you, but can you teach at my school, you know? And I told him, like, can I not be under contract to have to, like, I'll teach there probably for a little bit, but I told them what I want to do is I want to be able to teach kids, not kids, but like teenagers, like graduating high school. I want to teach them, and I want to be able to get them writing a grant so that the government could pay for them so that I could teach them.
Sure.
You know,
That's
but
awesome,
I don't want
man.
it to come out of their pocket.
Right.
Because that defeats the point of what I want to do. In the long haul, this is something that I want to do. Like I can see myself growing old teaching, you know,
Yeah.
and
Dude,
Yeah.
that's wonderful, man. The laws of reciprocity don't stop, you
Yeah.
know? And so that's a great gift you have, man. So you currently working on setting that up and getting...
yeah. So in the moment where I have my own studio,
Mm-hmm.
and then I met with my brother. He said, "Come over here. Let's do this
Sure.
collective together." And I told him, I'm like, I don't know, like because
I know you had your own shop
yeah,
and you came
like
here.
it's hard for you
Sure.
to change things, but also something that I was reminded is that your brand and what you've created, your legacy is bigger than a place. It's
Yeah.
bigger than a building, you know. A legacy and what you're creating, a whole brand, it's who you are. So I met with my brother, and he had asked me to come over here into Pilsen, leaving Gage Park. So Gage Park is where we grew up.
Sure.
So for me, everybody knows me in my neighborhood.
Right.
You know, everybody knows me in my neighborhood. I don't say that. I say that humbly. I don't say that because
To brag. I get it.
To
I
brag.
get it, yeah.
But I just love my neighborhood. You know, I grew up there.
You're comfortable and you were serving that community.
I was serving it. I wanted to be a staple in the community. I do back to school events. I've given
Wow,
away
that's awesome, man.
Christmas gifts to the kids, things that I'd never had. And so, legacy, right? What I want to build. I wanted to build just thinking about my neighborhood, but I realized that there's a lot that I have to do that God's placed inside of me that I never thought I could do, you know? And so for me, like, I was getting attached to a building, and when I talked to my brother, he's like, "Come, let's go to Pilsen." I'm like, "But this is my baby over here. Like, how can I leave it?" You know? And I realized that my purpose is bigger than that building, you know? And I have to do everything that I'm being envisioned to do, because I feel that comes from God, you know?
Yeah.
That comes from within, you know? But that's something that God places in you, you know? And that's very special. And yeah, legacy goes beyond a building. Legacy,
So
it's
you're pretty much like your legacy is teaching the next generation or generations to come, you know, how to do this art that you're doing.
Yes,
and,
yeah.
And not only that, but have, you know, the grant or the government, or there's grants allotted for that, and you want to teach them how to get that so they can have a skill.
Yeah.
And they're doing what you did.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you said, dude. That you said that you want to do something that you never thought. You're going to help someone else or help a generation you thought that you weren't capable of doing yourself.
Yeah, and I think inspiring is so important when it comes to legacy. Actually,
That's awesome, man.
Inspiring, and I look at myself in their shoes. Like coming out of high school, like I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? You know?
Yeah.
And I didn't think I could do anything. And so I think for me, I look at this next project. I think about that. I think about like there is my legacy and my purpose is so tied up with teaching like who's next, you know, or teaching those that might feel like at the place where I was at, you know, when I was 17, you know. And so that's kind of like my what's it called? My charge to
In life, that's what you're
exactly.
focused on. Like just kind of share, right? What God is giving you and the opportunities that you didn't have. You want to create that for others, and in life. That's very powerful, man. Nestor, you know, I first want to say thank you, dude.
Of course.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming on. You're very inspiring, dude. I felt, you know, like love, dude, like the love of God as you're sharing your story, dude. Honest to God. And I just think that you're a very inspiring young man. If people want to get a hold of you or support any of your causes, I know that, and that's something I just, you know, like the Christmas outreaches you do, the back to school outreaches that you, how do they get a hold of you? How do they get a hold of the BrowBro?
Yeah, so the way that you could get a hold of me is through Instagram.
Okay.
I go on Instagram as the BrowBro. And so, yeah, you could DM me.
There's no fakes out there, are they?
No.
Not
It's
yet,
only one
not
BrowBro.
yet,
Yeah, it's only one
okay.
BrowBro. But I have seen people trying to.
What is it? What is it? What's
So
your...
it's the BrowBro. It's TheBrowBro. So at the BrowBro on Instagram.
Okay.
And that's basically the way you can get a hold of me
Okay.
and the way you could book me.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for coming
Yeah,
on,
of
man.
course, of
Really
course.
appreciate it. Guys, tune in. This guy's an awesome young guy. Please follow him and support his cause. Thanks again.